Hello, we are live. Welcome, Noah. If you are rewatching this, I usually will wait the first 4 or 5 minutes for people to just to come in and join. But if you're curious about what we'll be covering, we'll be going over some of the basic things like placeholder setups for Ezoic ads. We're going to cover the reasons why, if you were using AdSense before, basically why you're guaranteed to earn more with Ezoic, and also how to do that. There's also a couple other things people wanted to go over. They were asking how you can set up direct deals, how you could also link your AdSense. So we're going to go over all of those things. We're also going to cover basically the grounds of Flickify and Humix, and how you can kind of leverage those being in the Access Now program. Because so many people have had success with this, so that's kind of why I wanted to cover it, and essentially go from there. But yeah, I'll give everyone at least a handful of minutes to join. The way this normally works is people can just come in and ask any questions in the comment section. They can say, "Hey, Charlie, can you talk about some of the new updates at Ezoic? I've either been here for a while or I have not, but I'm curious what the changes you guys are making, either to existing features or planning on new features in the future." We can talk about caching. You can basically ask anything you want related to Ezoic, and we can kind of go from there. You guys can even, answer each other's questions in the comment section. But I'll be happy to answer absolutely anything related to Ezoic. But yeah, you can also, as I said before, you can just ask anything in the comment section. But I'll wait at least 3, 4 more minutes for people to join in. For any of you guys that are in here right now, can you just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me? I'm not getting the sound meter that I should be. So hopefully I'm not on mute and you guys can actually hear me. But I guess if I'm asking you out loud if you can hear me, that's probably not the best way to do it. Max says, hello, Charlie. Can hear you in Seattle. Okay, cool. I love Japanese music. Me too, that is for sure. Can hear you in Seattle. That's amazing. I love the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully you have a sunny day. I know you're kind of in the middle of the rain season, but hopefully you're kind of powering through there. I don't think we've had anyone joining from Seattle yet, so I'd love to hear that. But yeah, exactly as you guys are kind of doing right here, you can ask questions in the comment section. But I'm also just going to go through and kind of start at the beginning. So if you want me to circle back and go through some of those things, we can definitely do that. Michael, you didn't kill the vibe at all. This is exactly what this is. These are used for. Quite literally, you're just asking a really good question right off the bat. So honestly, it's a great starting point. We have Mike in here. Says good afternoon, Charlie. Good afternoon to you, Mike. Good morning here in San Diego, California. I know we have someone from Seattle. Abdul says hello. How are you, Abdul? I'm curious where you're checking in from. Max RD Kura. I'm pretty sure I recognize your icon, but from a different name. Says hello, Charlie. Hello to you, Max. Emmanuel says yes, sound okay. Thanks for confirming that. I do appreciate that. Imogen's actually, so Max was asking, where's Miss Imogen? She's in the UK, so she's actually off for the day. We have kind of half our team in the UK, and then we have our other half here in the US. So it kind of works out best for you all. So, they can cover, if we're talking Pacific Standard Time, basically midnight PST, all the way to 8 a.m., 9 a.m. 1 to 9 a.m. And then we'll basically cover from there. So the busiest times of the day where you guys are all working for the majority of our customers, we're always going to have people online, whether it's in the community or doing optimization reviews, placeholder reviews, leap setups. We'll basically be doing that throughout all hours of the day. And then we even have people to kind of cover our hours once we log off here in California. So, a lot of publishers that are early up and early risers in India are on the far side of the country. On the other side, we can kind of work with them as well. So Imogen is offline. Hopefully she's enjoying her afternoon, not working right now. She already put in her time today, but she can run another live stream if you do want to do them with her. I think she really likes doing them, so I don't think she'd be upset about that at all. But we do have a good question in here, so I'd be happy to start answering Michael's question here. And if you guys want me to circle back or elaborate or kind of share some more, I'd be happy to do that. But I kind of want to, Healthy Food Beauty says, or Health Food Beauty says, can you set up ads for my site? Yes, I absolutely can. All I'll need to know is your domain name down in the comment section. And then when you do write your domain name in the comment section, just make sure you exclude the .com or the .xyz or the .in or the .org, whatever it is, because YouTube will actually flag that comment as a URL and remove the URL from the comment, or remove the entire comment entirely, so we won't be able to see it. So I'll need your domain name, and then also just give me consent if you want me to share my screen, because I can do that and I can kind of show you guys how I would set up ads as if it was my own site. Cool. So I got your domain name, and then all I'll need from there is, if it's okay, if I can actually share my screen and show your pages and kind of show you how I would do that. If not, I can use another example site or someone that's given me consent. Oh, Max says I can't log into Twist. So Max, we actually moved away from Twist entirely. We're now using our community. It functions the same as Twist, but since we've built it out internally, we can now control different features. We can make improvements because Twist was actually kind of running into some issues in terms of load balancing and kind of limiting our functions as posters and supporters. But Mike, I didn't forget, or Michael, I didn't forget about your question. I was actually just going to use this domain here as an example. So let me pull it up for you and then basically go from there. Pets, animals, world. Cool. But the question that I'm going to kind of answer while I also go through some of the setup here for health food is, are you covering off whether AI placeholders is optimal setup or is it better to place manually? So I'm going to answer this and say neither. Well, AI placeholders alone doesn't get you covered as well as it should be. So the way AI logic is basically built out in terms of the placeholders is it's going to find locations on your pages where placeholders should exist or could exist but don't currently. So let's say you have a really long article and you manually set up one or two or three, but there's plenty of real estate or there's plenty of area within the article to add more. The AI is going to say, let's add a placeholder there because we recognize that there's basically space on the page to add one, but there's not currently. So I would say go through and dial in your placeholder setups manually, or ask just us to do it, and we'd be more than happy to do that. And then you can also turn on AI placeholders because AI placeholders sometimes do a really good job of finding some open real estate or open inventory on longer articles or articles that are built with different divs. So maybe the placeholders don't transfer over as well. It also does a really good job of finding, sidebar top, sidebar middle, and sidebar bottom placeholders. So that's a really good way it can kind of help. But to kind of answer this, probably best to set it up manually. But I'm also going to override my answer there and say the best way to do it is just say, hey guys, as in us at Ezoic, here's my site. Could you set up ads entirely for me? So we actually are building out a new way you could add placeholders to a page. It's not fully released to the public yet, but it's something that we're kind of working on. We're making adjustments to, but it's been very, very successful. And it also covers a lot of the groundwork in terms of just adding tons of placeholders top to bottom. So if you want us to do that, please just reach out and I'll be more than happy to do that. But as of right now, let me pull up Health Foods dashboard because I kind of want to show you how I would actually attack this in terms of optimizing placeholders. Some really, really good questions coming in here. Sorry, I was just reading ahead to kind of figure things out. But let me share my screen and just show you exactly kind of what I would do. If one of you guys asked, how is my placeholder setup look? Am I pretty dialed in? Am I not dialed in? But let me do that for you right now. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to send you guys into the matrix for a second. Share my screen. Cool. So here we are. We're just on the main page of the dashboard. We're seeing, visits over the last 30 days, earnings, your cash hit rate. But right now we're going to go over the placeholder setup. So the first thing I would actually do is to go into the Ezoic Ads tab and see what kind of placeholders you already have set up here. So we're seeing a bunch of custom ones that you added manually. That's awesome, but we can also go through and see the different ad types. So native ads are turned off. As you can see, they can increase your revenue estimated up 10%. How the way native ads, work are basically um, kind of like similar topic, or they kind of look like disguised as like other articles at the bottom of your page, and that's a really good way to drive up revenue. I can show you how to add a native placeholder as well. That'd be easy to do. Vignettes are turned on. So these are the AI placeholders you guys were talking about. Enhanced placeholders are kind of more like reflexive, more adaptive AI placeholders, if that makes sense. But those are turned on. Anchor ads are on. That's definitely one. If you guys do not have anchor ads on, I would highly suggest turning them on. Side rail. So these are actually a newer ad format that we added, I think, 2 weeks ago or so. If you guys are using AdSense and are kind of familiar with the things they're doing, AdSense was also doing something like this, so we've now created it. But basically, if I turn this on, like left side rail, let's say your content was, to run from here to here, and I'm using a really wide screen, so you guys can see here. There'd basically be a bunch of empty space and inventory over here to the side for these much larger screens. So side rail ads will actually run outside of the entire content here and here if I turn them on. So that way you can have, your sidebar, you can have sidebar top and bottom, you can even have your floating sidebar or maybe a floating video, and you can have side rail ads outside of that. So it's another really high value placeholder you guys can all enable. Again, this is something new. Test it out, and if you guys do turn it on, I would just say make sure you look at your pages to make sure you have no ads overlapping, because when you have ads overlapping, that can create issues with Google and actually Google violations. Sticky sidebar ads, that's another one. This is the floating video. This is a really good one I would enable if you do not. And then beta ad formats are basically new ad formats that we're testing, and we're basically just pulling results for as of now. So that's kind of the first thing I would do. The next thing I would do is I would actually visit your top or your most frequently visited pages. So I'll hit the analytics tab at the top as I did there. Let's grab some more data. So let's do the 17th all the way to the 1st of last month. Let's just apply that, run the report. Cool. So we can see their average users for a day. We can see the average revenue, the average EPMV. And they did ask about their EPMV, so I do just want to get a good idea of what their traffic looks like before I go into it. So it's primarily US traffic, which means there's for sure room for improvement on this EPMV. Okay, back to my original query and my original thing I came here for. If I want to find the most frequently visited pages to look and then further optimize, it's going to be under content and then landing pages. So now it's going to filter the report off your most frequently visited landing pages. And the reason why that's important for basically setting up your placeholders is because you basically want to optimize your placeholders originally for your pages that are most frequently visited. Why? It's because those are the ones that are most important to your success. So, cool site. Can guinea pigs eat marijuana is the first one. Let's run it. And it is US traffic, and we would expect to see some higher EPMV, but kind of seeing at this is sometimes you might not have the same networks bidding on your inventory if it covers something like marijuana, even if it's can guinea pigs eat it? It's nothing harmful. It's not encouraging malicious behavior, but you might not just have the most networks bidding on it. And this is a really good example of where side rail ads could do really well, because as you can see, I have a pretty large screen. So there is this, there is this inventory over to the side here. So I kind of just want to show you guys what that would look like. Let me return to Ezoic really quick. And I just want to enable it so you guys can see what it looks like. And I'm just going to do the left side rail for now. I don't want to do both yet until I kind of go through a bit more. This is a good trick. So as you guys can see, I already loaded this page and I want to revisit it again. But since I just enabled this, I might have to actually bypass the cache to see the changes. So if I add question mark no cache, or honestly, if I add just question mark a bunch of jargon after and press enter, this is going to access the page bypassing cache. So now I'll get the most updated version of this page. But again, let's just go through and kind of check out their setup. So they have sidebar top, sidebar middle, sidebar bottom. They have a couple mid content look really good. We don't want to add too many. There's definitely some good inventory down here. There's some empty space. Actually, a lot of empty space. Some more ads. Really good article, great length. They probably cover a lot of the questions you guys would ask. You know, can they get secondhand high? Can guinea pigs get high? What's poisonous to them? But anyway, so let's actually just enable the Chrome extension and then see kind of where we can go from there. Cool. So they have a top of the page. If you guys don't mind loading the content between the articles here, that's totally fine. But I probably would think that kind of disrupts the user experience a little bit. So what I would probably suggest doing is selecting this entire sidebar div. And then if I click this up one level button here, it'll actually attach to the parent element here in the HTML. So it's going to attach to the entire sidebar, which is going to be outside. Excuse me. I'm going to do insert here. I'm going to deselect the device for mobile because the mobile doesn't have sidebar. And then I'm going to do sidebar top. Save placeholder. And then this is another thing I noticed. So as you guys can see, I forget who asked the question, but this is where AI placeholders can work well for you, even though manually adding them. So what I'm trying to say here is, you know, manually set up your placeholders, but also have AI placeholders enabled. Again, I'm going to select this entire sidebar div, and then I'm going to select the parent element maybe a second time. Oh, wait, that did push it outside. Hold on. So I'm going to go, oh, it's already outside. And then this button here will actually drop it to the end of the element. So since I already added one to the top, I selected the same sidebar div, and then I'm actually just going to drop it to the bottom. I don't know why it's going inside the box. Let's go outside the box. Drop it to the bottom. There we go. So now I'm at the bottom of this element outside the box, and I'm going to insert here, deselect mobile, and I'm actually going to do sidebar floating because the sidebar floating is one of the highest performing ads other than anchor ads. So I definitely want to set up that there. And now when I scroll with the page, this sidebar ad is going to stay in my view, and the longer that placeholder is in my view or the ad is in my view, the higher the engagement will be for it, and then the more it'll be the higher payout it will be. But yeah, in content 4, let me see what you go down to. So you go in content 10, and then you can see, so this is another really good example where our AI placeholders are basically saying, look, there's a lot of real estate here where we could add placeholders, but we currently do not have them. So I would suggest adding them manually, just so we know that they'll carry over to other pages better. But let's say just above this LI element, let's do in content 11 because you ended off at 10. One of the common mistakes I've actually seen recently is when publishers do set up their own placeholders is they'll do in content 1, 1, 1. You know, basically use in content 1 for every placeholder they set up. But the way the logic is actually built out is our AI will only test one of those locations for the in content 1. So if you were like at the top of the page, you maybe only wanted one to show above the H1 title and maybe one below the first paragraph, you only wanted to show one of those, you could basically select both of those placeholders to be placeholder 1 and placeholder 1, and then our AI will only test one of those two locations. It won't test for both of those locations. And then once our AI has enough information to say, hey, we realize that the placeholder above the H1 performs better than under the first paragraph for these sizes and locations, it'll continue to test those because you're going to earn more while not disrupting the user experience. So that's kind of a way you can leverage the AI entirely. So there's a good way we can do an in content 11. I don't want to attach it to the LI elements here entirely. So maybe it'll be best to grab the entire list if I can here. Doesn't look like I can, so I'll basically just add one to the bottom here. See, it's attaching to this unorganized list or whatever UL stands for. Oops, it's not what I wanted to do. Is this where I left off? I don't think it is. But now that I'm going through, I'm like, this is probably a pretty good location for a placeholder to exist. So let's attach it to the bottom of here. Let's go to the bottom. I'm attaching it to this P element. It's good to attach your placeholders to P elements because if I add a placeholder here and I want it to show on other pages, I need to make sure that I'm adding this placeholder to an element or a div that is on other pages. And of course, P elements are just about on every single page for most of you guys, as you guys are writing information blogs. So let's add one here. I'm going to go to 12 because I already added one for 11. You can maybe add one here, but I don't really, there's one here and here as well, so I don't want to do that. But I want to make sure that I have a placeholder at least, every couple page, like every couple paragraphs. So, when a visitor is reading through your articles, they always have an ad in your viewpoint of some way. Let's add one here. Cool. And then I definitely want to add a bottom of the page. So I'm going to grab this entire div, as you guys saw here. I want to grab this entire thing. I want to outside this box. So it's here, and then I went all the way at the bottom. So now it's outside here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bottom of the page placeholder because this is one of the highest performing ads for sure. So that's definitely one you guys want to all make sure you have there. And then I would also even say, actually, this top of the page is perfect. But now let's turn off edit mode. And that's basically what I would do, not only for your top landing page. Let me deactivate this so you guys can see the ads come through again. So again, it might not test the sidebar ad that I added on top of here, but it might in the future, and then it might slowly start to realize that that's better. I know you added this one manually, so I don't want to remove a placeholder that you added, but I would say adding an ad in between your kind of list of your recent posts here is probably not the best, but totally okay. But you should see a drastic EPMB increase from these three placeholders alone. Because even if I don't have placeholders loading in the middle of the page like this, you still have an ad in the viewability here. You have one in the viewability here, and at the bottom of the page here. So now your users can read the content without many disruptions between them. Of course, we'll have a couple filling through here, but our AI is going to adjust and say, look, we have one here, here, and at the bottom, so we don't need to test as many. So this is a really good change you guys should all do if you have not done that yet. And then from there, I'd basically go through your other top landing pages through the analytics and just make sure that all your pages are really dialed in. Hopefully that was a good visual representation for you guys, and hopefully that wasn't too much. Hopefully, I know I say a lot and I kind of just, speak to myself here, and it's hard for you guys to cut me off if you need it. But please, if you're like, hey, Charlie, can you elaborate on something you said either here or there, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that. Mr. Cast Iron Mike says, how about display affiliate ads through Lasso? Shows not recommended with the Ezoic. Are other display ads okay to use along with the Ezoic and Google ads? Yes, they are, as long as they're all wrapped in Ezoic code, so we know that those ads are on the pages. Because if our AI does not recognize that there's another ad on the page, it might display the normal amount of ads as if it was analyzing the page without that ad. And then the end result will be you'll have too many ads probably saturating the content on your page and creating a bad user experience. So it's really good to ensure that all your ads are wrapped in Ezoic code. And when it says not recommended, I'm assuming maybe it's being flagged through Leap. That's going to be my guess. So then that's going to be more of a site speed type answer. But I'd be happy to go through that as well. But yeah, Mike, it's totally fine as long as you wrap the ad in Ezoic code. So that way our AI does understand that that ad is on the page. Abdul says, my domain name is expired and my website is hosted with Ezoic, but unfortunately, my domain provider is no longer exist in Google. Now I'm waiting to buy my domain name from somewhere else. Good. So So I'm assuming your domain provider, as in your registrar, like GoDaddy or something like that, is not existing anymore. I'm curious where who would own that and who you would buy it from. That's a really interesting scenario. But if you wanted to, for now, if you wanted to buy a cheap domain of a similar name, you could always just set up an automatic redirect from your current domain name to the new one. So if anyone were to look up that domain, or if you didn't want to hurt your SEO or your rankings for those articles, you could always just set up an automatic redirect to your new domain name where that content could then live. Yes, Twist has been canceled. I mean, Twist still exists as a service. There's nothing wrong with the service. It's actually a good platform and all. But we thought, we saw an opportunity for us to build out the same thing, and then we'd have, the ability to control things like, posting multiple threads. Like for example, Twist would only allow us to post 2 threads to the top and pin them, which is like, not the most convenient. I understand the idea there, but we also ran into a lot of limitations between how many users we could have kind of in one channel at once. So we were constantly running into issues with publishers not being able to get into Twist, which we understood was a terrible experience for them, because like they're probably looking for help for an issue with their site, or looking for help with an issue on how to set up Ezoic, and then they're kind of being redirected to Twist where they can't even get it to load. So it's like, okay, let's just work from ground zero, create our own Twist, and then go from there. Oh yeah, if you buy your domain name from another platform, will it still work with Ezoic? Yes, it will for sure. Um, Absolutely. Since you're on our hosting, it's not you don't have to make as many changes. But let's say you weren't using Ezoic hosting and you were to use another host or another registrar, you just want to make sure that everything with Ezoic is still working correctly. You could always reach out to us so we could check your DNS to make sure there's no compatibility issues. But let's say, for instance, you're going from one host to another. The one thing you would make sure you want to do is to actually just update your A record in the DNS records with Ezoic. I think that's another common misconception, is that when people integrate with Ezoic, they kind of lose control of their DNS. But that's actually not true. You have full control over your website still. So if I want to show my screen, for example, I want to just show you guys where you can actually do this. So if I'm in the dashboard, you can go settings. You can find your DNS here, so you can update all your DNS. You can update all your SSL and your privacy. Of course, they're on our hosting right now. Site is live. That's awesome. You can manage all of your different sites. You can manage your connections. You can remove integration at any point and become disconnected. You can revert to your old site if you ever wanted to do that. So yeah, your website is still fully under your control in terms of both DNS and ads. So yeah, I think that's just kind of a common misconception, a very understandable question, and kind of warning that would go off in your head if you were going to use Ezoic. But I just want to let you know and rest assured that you guys still have full control over your guys' site. So great question. How can I improve my site speed through Ezoic? So Ezoic has its own site speed tool to analyze Core Web Vitals. Core Web Vitals are basically the Google standard for site speed. There's LCP, CLS, and LCP. Did I already say that? But yeah, we basically built out a site speed tool that's used to analyze the Core Web Vitals, which are important for Google. Why we kind of did that is because Google, like organic traffic through Google, is the highest paid. It's the biggest platform in terms of search engines. So that's kind of what we wanted to tailor to. And then when you actually use Leap, there's so many benefits to using it. So if you're using 5 or 10 different plugins, it'll say, hey, this plugin's fast, works great. This one's kind of fast, works good. But this one's slow, or this one's really severe. And for all of the ones that are slow or severe or hurting site speed just a little bit or a lot, we'll actually offer recommendations for plugins that are both free and really fast. So that way you can improve your site speed in every aspect. We'll also flag things on your pages that are hindering, LCP the most, whether it be an H1 or the main image at the top of your page. And then we actually will tell you the improvements to make as well, whether it's through your Leap settings or whether it's your server response time. We'll basically give you a full analysis and full transparency to what's slowing down your site or your specific page. So that's why using Leap is so beneficial. On top of that, compared to other site speed tests, Leap actually analyzes their core web vitals based off real users. So a lot of you guys will notice when you first sign up with Ezoic and connect and start using us, sometimes the core web vitals will show, no data. Basically, it'll give you no score, and basically the reason is because we're still picking up and analyzing more real user data that comes to your pages. And then when we use that real user data, once we have enough to accurately analyze and give you an accurate score, that's when we'll display it through Leap, and then you can kind of go from there. But that's, using Leap is one of the best ways to do it. Integrating through our CDN is another good way, as you guys have all done. You're given access to all of our servers, which are AWS, which are all over the world. So definitely fast there. We also have our own caching app, so you guys can then cache your entire sitemap or all your pages, and then we can deliver them directly from our servers, so make your site much, much, much faster, especially if you're struggling with LCP, which is one publishers kind of commonly reach out to us about. So there is a correlation between your cache hit rate and also your LCP scores. Well, I guess it'd be a negative correlation, as in the higher the cache hit rate, the lower your LCP scores. The lower the LCP scores, the better. Um, well, kind of in terms of loading speed, but I guess it is a positive correlation in terms of LCP scores and cache hit rate, because technically 100 on an LCP is the best score you can get, but a lower response time, like the quicker it'll load, the better. Hopefully the stream is not lagging, but again, if it is, please let me know and I can double check my connection. Right now I'm connected to Ethernet, and then I have Wi-Fi as a backup. So if it is lagging, please let me know and I can try to revert just to the Ethernet and see if that works better. But yeah, let me know. And Healthy Food also wanted me to check your cache. And someone else also asked me, how can I improve my site speed through Ezoic? So let me go through this, and then Tay asked a really good question. I'll be happy to answer that question right after. But let me just share my screen and go through what I would do for my own site, if this was my own site, in terms of both site speed and cache. So when you're on the homepage of your dashboard, you can see the cache rate right here. But where we can actually control it is going to be under Leap, because Leap is going to be everything in terms of site speed. So as you guys can see, we don't have enough data to show the real users, but we can view lab data. Lab data will basically be a kind of like a lab type scan of your page, basically like a computer run scan of your page. I know I used lab to define what lab data is, so that was a poor job on my part. But as you guys can see, Leap, this is the transparency that Leap offers to your site. So it's saying, hey, you're using easy table of contents, and 29% of domains also using this technology perform significantly worse than the average site. So Leap is not designed to, say, oh, Ezoic's better than this. It's literally just saying it, because quite literally, there's no reason for that to happen. It's just saying that of all the domains using it, they're all performing significantly worse because they're using it. So if you wanted to say, hey, there's actually quite a lot being flagged here that are severe, this red exclamation point is kind of like the worst of the worst. So let's say easy table of contents were something, table of contents, there's a lot of alternatives. But what I can do is I can click view alternatives. I can say, look, simple TOC does the same function. It's absolutely free, and it's much, much faster, because we can say we have all of this data of all the other websites using it. And simple TOC is, one of the fastest ones we could do. And this is all backed up by data. It's not just random, hey, this is faster because we say so, or because simple TOC reached out. No, we actually have no connection with any of these plugins. It's, purely just based off data and our analysis. So then I would basically go through all of the other things that are getting flagged, and make the necessary adjustments so that you do basically have a limiting factor of the plugins that are affecting your site speed. So, there's actually 4 pages of this. Jetpack is actually 100% incompatible with Ezoic. So now that I see this, the first thing I would ask you to do is to actually remove this entirely, Jetpack, because it can actually block some of our caching, which is also why you could probably see your cache hit rate at 41%. It can actually block ads from showing. It can actually block us from gathering data. So sometimes you'll see 5 visits in a day when your Google Analytics might be like 5,000 in a day, and it's because of Jetpack. Um, so yeah, I would check out all the healthy alternatives for these things, and then kind of go from there. So that's kind of what I would do. My first step if I were going to improve site speed. Let's show some lab data just to test. So the home page. Okay, so this is your highest visited page, and it's also getting flagged for LCP. So what we can do is we can click here and say test in Ezoic lab, and it's going to give me that full analysis of this page specifically. It's going to say, hey, this element is flagging LC or is hurting LCP the most. And it'll also give you an idea of what the current configuration you have enabled in Leap and what you can also enable to improve it. So the lab analysis was 2.5 seconds, which is just on the verge of actually passing in green, but not. You can see right here the H1 class is actually the LCP element getting flagged the most, or for the most hindrance to site speed. And then these are your current, the check marks are your current features that you have enabled during Leap. And the unchecked ones are the ones you can enable to improve LCP. So right off the bat, I could say, okay, I can go through and optimize my fonts, preload my fonts, and also lazy load my iframes. And then you can also enable these as well, but disabling ads above the fold will hurt revenue. But again, if site speed is your focus, and that's important to you and your business and your domain, then go for it. Absolutely, 100% up to you. But then you guys can also see, one of the other things being flagged is your initial server response time is taking 780 milliseconds. So this is basically your full transparent analysis to the page, and also gives you the insight of what you can do better. So that's honestly what I use Leap for my website as well. It just gives you the full insight you would want to know if you were to go to a site speed expert and pay money so they can give you that information. So now we're in cache. You can see it's enabled. This is where you would clear cache for the entire domain. This is where you clear cache for an individual URL, or you can do it for a list of URLs, or you can do it for a surrogate key. But going through your cache settings, your default cache age is really low. So I'm going to say right off the bat, all your other settings are really good. This is on. This is set to 300, which is recommended. This is on, on. Grace period could actually be a bit higher as well, but I would actually change this to, I forget the number, it's like 2 million. But this value here is set into seconds, and you want it equaled to 30 days. So what's my math here? I think it's like 2.92 million, but what am I going to do here? 60 seconds times 24 hours in a day, 1440, and then what? Let's say just 30 days in a month, just for. Oh wait, what did I calculate already? Hold on. Let me clear this. What did I do? I did 60 seconds times 24 hours in a day. Yeah, 1440, and then I'm gonna do that for 30 days in a month. So, am I crazy? 60. Oh, 60 seconds. Okay. Wow. Okay, so 60 seconds. So there's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour. There's 24 hours in a day. And then there's 30 days on average, let's say, in a month. Okay, so here's the number you'd want to add. Sorry about that. 2.5 million, because that's going to be 30 seconds in a day. Please excuse my brain fart. I promise I'm actually really good at math. It's one of my better subjects. That was just not a good displayment of that. So I would change this value to your 2.5 million, so that way it is 30 seconds in a day, because this is actually going to reset your cache after X amount of time. So turn that up there, turn this to 30 seconds, and then your cache settings will be perfect. Another thing we can do to see why your cache is missing is actually going to be within the analytics. So I can go to analytics. On the far left side, I can see site speed, and then I can do caching, and then Ezoic caching. And I can send you guys this URL if you guys also want to just check it out. I'll just add it to the comment section so you guys can follow along. And then you can see the spread in the graph basically between cache miss and cache hits. And then if I actually want to know the reasons for the cache miss, I can just click on this here. It's both going to tell me the reason why and also give all the URLs where cache is actually being missed. Cool. Subsequent calls will be cached. Basically, what this means is that there's been an initial request to the page, but since then there has not been a second. And once the second is made, then a cache hit will be served. And I think the reason why you're seeing 67 page views, but you're still getting this reason, is because your default cache age is so low. So the one thing you would definitely want to do is to increase that, and then you'll see your cache hit rate rise dramatically. But another reason why you're also seeing this is because you're also caching through Jetpack, which is creating a lot of issues. So if you are caching through another plugin, simply just remove it if you want, so that way you're not double caching and kind of working against yourself. So hopefully that answered the cache and leap question. I know that was kind of a lot, but let's see. I lost 60% of my traffic after I added Ezoic in December. I'm struggling to get back my rankings from Google. Why do adverts destroy rankings massively? So if you were showing AdSense ads before, clearly the third party factor here of ads would not be the reason. There's been a lot of Core Web Vital updates. There's been a lot of Google search updates. So that could be a reason why. One of the things we see in terms of losing traffic is if people are using Bluehost and they don't have Cloudflare originally enabled on their setup, basically what happens is they integrate with Ezoic, everything's working great. And then when Bluehost enables Cloudflare on their end without letting anyone know, including yourself, it actually changes the IP of your DNS there. And then what happens is our system will say, uh-oh, their host, the IP that we were pulling is not showing anymore. This is actually the IP, and it's going to be a Cloudflare IP. So then what happens is your pages aren't indexed anymore, which then leads to a drastic decrease in traffic. This can be fixed in literally a matter of 30 seconds. All we have to do is go through your DNS records in the dashboard as we showed you guys and update your A record to the correct IP. But simply integrating with Ezoic and showing advertisements is not going to be, correlated with that high of a drop. So I'd be happy to look at this. I'd be happy to look at why that could be the case. But I know for sure, and I'll be 100% accountable for this, that when Bluehost does enable Cloudflare and we pull the Cloudflare IP, it will take your sites off the Google search rankings. So that's something you definitely want to check. And again, if you're like, hey, Charlie, can you do that for me? I'd be happy to do that. It's a rather easy fix. Okay, I'm falling really far behind on these questions, so let me power through because you guys are being patient if you are waiting. Okay, I covered that. So yeah, okay, I covered the site speed. Oh, nice. Everyday money. Great question. Hi, Charlie. I've just joined. Can I ask what is the best settings for both Google AdSense and Ezoic on the site? Are you allowed to do this? Oh, you are allowed to do this, aren't you? Yes, absolutely you are. And I'm going to share my screen and tell you and explain. I'm going to go through this publisher's thing right here as well. Yes, so you're correct. You can use both at the same time, but I want to show you guys how to do this to avoid issues, to avoid lower earnings. But essentially, Ezoic built out an app called the Mediation app. And what that allows you to do is, let's say you were running AdSense before and now you're using Ezoic. When you actually use the mediation app, you're allowing both AdSense and your Ezoic partners to bid against each other to make sure you're earning as much as possible for each ad location. So yeah, you're basically going to leverage both those networks against each other to earn as much as possible. So yes, this is an insanely good feature. This is also why if you were using AdSense alone before, you're guaranteed to earn more with Ezoic. If of course if you have a good placeholder setup. But when you get I'm talking fast and I'm trying to work quick too. Let me slow things down a bit. When I'm on the homepage of the dashboard, I'm going to go into Ezoic Ads. Once I'm in Ezoic Ads, I'm going to go to AdSense mediation here. The first thing I'm going to do is link my AdSense account. What that will do is it'll actually give our AI more data to quickly and basically it'll serve as a catalyst for our AI to learn your site. So you'll earn more money quicker, and you'll basically set your optimization timeline off in advance to a healthy head start. This mediation app is where you're actually going to add Google AdSense as a partner. We do have a really good article that walks you through how to do this, but if not, please head to the community, and I'll be happy to walk through this with you and help you set it up. But this is the leveraging tool that will guarantee you earn more with Ezoic than you do AdSense. Quite literally, because you are adding the AdSense partners. So if they bid more than the Ezoic ones, then that bid's going to win and you're going to earn that money. Let's say this is kind of a follow-up question that we get a lot. Let's say you earned $30 in the month, or sorry, let's say you earned $35 in a month, and 30 was through Ezoic and 5 was through mediation. At the end of the following month, when you get those earnings paid out to you, we're only going to pay out the Ezoic earnings. So you're going to get paid out the $30 through us, and then AdSense is going to pay you the $5. So you're still going to earn all that money. I just wanted to clarify that's kind of the main question and the first question publishers ask when they get that initial payment and they're a little confused. That it's if you do have mediation earnings, that those will be paid out through AdSense and not Ezoic because those bids were won through AdSense. So yeah, this quite literally sets you and puts you in the best position to leverage both Ezoic and AdSense at the same time. So great day. Great day. Great question. Everyday Monday. Money. Wow, I cannot speak today. Oh, Kyle asks, okay. Would love to have my site name-doctor looked at if you have time. I just joined with you guys a few days ago after moving away from Google AdSense. Explanation was amazing. Awesome. I'm happy the explanation worked for you because sometimes I feel like I sit here and I just run my mouth, and it's hard to not like kind of bounce off you guys, be like, two-way conversation. But I'm happy that worked. And I'll be happy to actually go through and set this up. I just want to make sure that I don't have too many other questions because if people are asking them, if people are asking questions and I don't want them to have to wait 30 minutes plus to get an answer. But I'm actually going to write your domain name down right now, Kyle, because if I don't have enough time to circle back to it, which I probably will, I'm going to make sure that I just do that right after this and I can go ahead and send you an email and say, hey, this is what you did good, this is what I changed, this is what needs improvement, and kind of go from there. So I am going to write this down so I don't forget. Okay, cool. Because I definitely do have ADHD and I can definitely forget things. So I like to write things down so I don't forget them. Mr. Cast Iron says, how do you wrap it in code? So I can actually send you the article how to do it, but I won't have a use case of kind of showing you firsthand. I would also need access to the actual code itself. But let me pull that article for you right now, Mike. I'll get this article for you right now, but also if you just want clarification, Mike, if that ad actually does need wrapping, because we do automatically wrap ads sometimes, actually majority of the time. So a lot of the time you actually won't even need to, but you can reach out to us and just to make sure that they are being wrapped correctly. So I think when I was actually showing your site here, Health Food, I did show you how to show the cache hit or miss. So hopefully that answers your question. But if you want me to go through that a little bit more, please let me know. I'll be happy to. Max says, why are my Humix profits decreasing day by day? So the demand for Humix has actually grown quite a bit. So, I saw this with another publisher recently that was earning really solid money day after day. It said, I didn't really make any changes. I'm not sure why my Humix video is not earning as much. And kind of, once I did dig deep into this, I figured out that another publisher had posted a similar related video that was kind of produced just a little bit better. I'm not saying this is the case now, but the demand for these videos is growing quite a good bit because people have seen so much success. So that's just one potential reason. Maybe one of the publishers that was sharing your videos is not anymore. But I would kind of dig deep through there and kind of just think about it from that perspective, because we haven't made any changes to the current videos and how they display. So I would kind of maybe just look, if you're writing an article on geography in Texas, then go through and maybe look, Texas geography or Texas or geography, and see if there's other videos that are more competitive, and maybe those ones are actually getting used more. So I don't have a direct answer, as you can tell, but that would be kind of my first area of investigation. Green Smoked School says, Ezo, I just like your stream, brother. I appreciate that, Ezo. Hopefully, you are finding benefit to this, because that's the ultimate goal. But I do appreciate that a lot. Protect Level says, I want to ask some questions. Absolutely, go for it. You can ask them just how you added that comment there, and I'll be happy to go through and answer. Emmanuel says, JPEG, is that the image? Trying to think of what I was showing around that time that could answer this question. Probably the LCP. So if we were talking about the LCP, I'm assuming that's what this is talking about, because a lot of the times the main image at the top of your page will be the biggest hindrance to LCP scores. And what we have a Leap function built out already, and it'll basically optimize your image format. And what that will actually do is it'll convert it to a WebP, which is going to be the fastest and the best form to deliver the image. When you guys actually view the URL still, it'll actually still say .jpeg a lot of the time. But if you inspect the page and go through the network, you can actually see that the image being served is through WP. We just don't change the actual URL itself. My first question is, my Ezoic site approved, but AdSense does not approve. I create AdSense account, but auto approval or Google can approve. I create AdSense account, but auto approval or Google can approve my regain site. I'm a little bit confused here. I'm a little confused to your question. I'm trying to think of how I can answer this, but maybe you're talking about the ad manager invite. If you are, I'd probably have to look at the specifics to the status of your invite and then go from there. So please just reach out to us in the community, and I'll be happy to do that. I'll also add my email here at the bottom of the comment section. So if you guys are like, hey, I need to just get out of here, I have other stuff to do, I need to make dinner, I need to go to school, I need to go back to work, you can simply just send me an email, and I'll be happy to kind of work through you with that. Danielle says, hi there, just logging on. I left Ezoic a week or two back. The problem was that my Google Web Stories would not work properly when Ezoic was installed. I wasn't able to get support on that. So we are actually working on becoming, more seamless and compatible with Web Stories, but we actually are compatible with them right now. It's just that we cannot monetize the Web Stories. It's a similar function and kind of similar logic to the way AMP works, but basically, Web Stories are externally cached by Google, so they're kind of served directly through Google, and then also, they're kind of like, stories of similar how social media is, so you don't actually have an entire page to load. But yes, we are going to work on that. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate that because I'm sure it's an issue for others if it is for you. But we are actively working on that. We actually have a whole team going through some of those things. So Ashton says 4.5% cache hit rate and 95.5% cache miss rate. Are those good values? So just to be, honest and transparent, the opposite would be really good. A 95.5% cache hit rate would be really good, and only a 5% miss rate. but actually this is a pretty low value setting. So I would definitely go through some of the things that I went earlier in the live stream covering cache, and then go through that, because there are a lot of things. I did basically cover everything there. But yeah, 4.5% cache hit rate is actually really low. It is not good. So is it advisable to use a security plugin when using Ezoic, for example, WordPress? It can if you want to. When you integrate through our CDN, which you guys all do because you're in the Access Now program, is you actually get access to our IntelliBot services automatically. You get access to our Cloudflare account if you would like. And then you also get the basic security that AWS offers. So, um, yes, I mean, a lot of people use WordFence, but sometimes I could go down a little bit of a rabbit hole answering this, but essentially, when you integrate through our CDN, the user request path will go from your host or through our server and your host. And sometimes your host will see the Ezoic IP over and over. And if you have extra security enabled on their end, they're actually going to freak out and say, oh, we've seen the reoccurring IP over and over. We're actually going to block this traffic because we think it's bot or spam traffic, when in reality, it's just the Ezoic IP showing over and over again. So if you guys do enable any external security, which is feasible but not needed, just make sure you have your like WordFence or whatever host. Make sure you have them whitelist the Ezoic IP so you don't get origin errors. I'll send you the article on that right now. Basically, you can type in Ezoic origin errors, and you'll get this article I'm about to send to you right now. And there's going to be a list of IPs there that are all Ezoic IPs. You have them whitelist those, so they say, hey, even if we see this reoccurring IP over and over, that's totally okay. Health Food says, you are the GOAT, great of all time. I appreciate that. I do really appreciate that. That's really sweet of you. I have Joanne in here again. Says, hi, Charlie. How are you, Joanne? Hopefully everything's going well with you. Hopefully everything's going well with your domain. But I'm happy to see you in here. Knowledge ask, hi, can we use any WordPress plugin to wrap up code for Ezoic ads and AdSense ads? So yeah, I think one of the common ones is like Ad Inserter. You can actually use and then wrap your ads in there. But if you were using AdSense prior to Ezoic and then integrate with us, we actually will automatically remove the AdSense ads for you. So you actually don't need to do that. But one way you can test if you do need to wrap ads is visit one of your pages, enable the Chrome extension, and then all of the advertisements, all the Ezoic advertisements will change from actual advertisements to those colored boxes, those placeholders. And if you have placeholders on your pages and ads are still showing on the page, like you're getting a Verizon ad while you have a colored placeholder showing, that ad that's still showing is going to need to be wrapped in Ezoic code. So that's kind of how you'll figure out if they do need to be wrapped in code. And then if so, we can work from there. Joanne says she's busy creating content, and I am as well. I'm happy you're doing it. Hopefully that's successful. But I'm happy you're doing that. I'm happy everything is going well with you. But I'm curious also what your strategy would be, because I kind of have my own things. Actually, another publisher that came through one of these live streams basically told me his regimen of creating content. It was either 1 or 2 a week. That way you can have anywhere from 50 to 100 articles in a year. And I'm like, all right, sure, let's do it. So that's kind of been my schedule for creating content for my domain. So yeah, I think I've also been the same, busy creating content. Let me circle back to, I forget who asked the question. Kyle asked the question. He wanted me to go through his as well. Cool. I don't know if I have Kyle still in here, but Kyle, can you just give me consent to make sure that it's okay that I do share my screen and help dial in your placeholders or your ads? If not, I can just do this right when I'm done, and I'll send you an email, like I said before. But if you are still in here, just let me know if it's okay to share my screen and do that. I do want to now quickly talk about our affiliate program that we have going on now, just because there's good money to be earned, cash bonuses through our affiliate program right now. Oh, Kyle's in here. He said yes. But we do have an affiliate program and kind of like a contest running right now. Um, but basically, I think once you refer like if you were to refer a couple publishers and they were to hit the $10 mark in total revenue, whether it was over a day or a year, you'll actually get a $10 cash bonus. And then when they hit like $40, I think you get $20 cash bonus. When they hit $100 of revenue, I think you get like a $50 cash bonus. And then when they hit like 400, you get like $100 cash bonus. So that, don't quote me on those exact values, but it's something along those lines. What I'm trying to get at is we've had a lot of Access Now publishers refer a lot of other Access Now publishers that have not been on Ezoic, and then even some bigger publishers. And we've had Access Now publishers get the $100 cash bonuses. And what that also means is they hit the $10 originally, they hit the $20, so now they're at $30 cumulative cash bonus. And then they hit the $50 cash bonus, now their cumulative cash bonus is $80. And then once their all other affiliates hit the the $400, then they get the $100 cash bonus, and then they have $180 of cash bonuses that have acclimated or accumulated over their affiliate progress. So our affiliate program right now is kind of being boosted, and all I'm saying is just take advantage of it. And really, I would say, recommend or send your referral link to other publishers that you trust and you think do well and that work hard, because you guys will also, you'll see a portion of their earnings going to yourself. That does not take away from their earnings. That's just added earnings to yourself. So I think, being in the Access Now program and being kind of a smaller publisher, you do get kind of like gritty and grindy, and you got to find all the nooks and crannies to improve. Video content is one of them. Humix and Flickify, that's one avenue. The affiliate program is another avenue. But yeah, that's just, I wanted to give you guys that insight because we've seen publishers hit the $100 cash bonus and they make $100, $180 in total through their referrals when they might not have even done $60 in total revenue for the year. So, or less, that was kind of my little explanation right there. But let me pull up Kyle's dashboard right now and let me go through there because he gave me that. But using Chat GDP or GTP and Jasper. So of course I've been messing around with this myself. I haven't published any content written by is it GTP or GPT? I forget. But I think Google will be cracking down on just straight Chat GDP content because they will say it's not real and authentic. And I see both sides of the equation. I see why Google would say this. They want original thoughts. They want original value being added to your articles, which is something only you yourself can add. Because quite literally, Chat GDP or all these other AI writers will actually take content and things that have already been said and written and then put it in kind of their context and in their format, which means so yeah, exactly what Joanne said. It helps with the outlines and it helps you kind of gather data because it is an insanely impressive technology. So yeah, Joanne's exactly right. She's been using it as a guideline or as an outline, and it really does help you guys get some ideas flowing. Because that's also what I actually did something similar. I write mostly car content. And it gives you a lot of the basis. It gives you good even transitions from one content or from one article to the next. So yeah, it definitely helps with outlines for sure. Cool. Sorry for that long explanation. So if I'm in the dashboard here, we see average visits in a day and earnings. That's awesome. Well done here. This is already impressive. Again, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through Ezoic ads. I'm going to check out, okay, they've created these manually because there's no WP before, which would be WordPress. Also, if it says Gen before, that's our new process that we haven't fully released yet. Ad types, let's see. Native ads on, vignettes off, AI enhanced are on, anchor ads on, side rails on, sticky on, floating on, beautiful. So that's cool. They're definitely optimized in that aspect. Let's go to the analytics and check out some of their top landing pages. So again, let's grab a wider data set so we have just more data to run off. So about a month and a half time. Let's go to content. Actually, first I want to see your EPMB because your EPMB is rather low. So I'm curious, just whether that's from an improper setup, or maybe your traffic is from a lower tier country. So it's all U.S. traffic. So this is definitely something we'll say, hey, this is we could definitely see some better improvement. I noticed that the average engage time is only 24 seconds, which will come into play of why your EPMB is low. Still, there's room for improvement here for sure. So content landing pages, you do have a pretty high variance between your pages, which is totally fine. Looks like you have an absolutely ton amount of pages. So this isn't the most resourceful use of this report. But let's see, boy named Aiden. Let's try to find one that's like this. So we get a good idea of what your kind of pages look like. So I don't know if you just enabled the side rails now, but you see how this right side rail actually overlaps with that video player. That's actually, not good because that can lead to Google policy. So what I would actually suggest for a page that isn't as long as this, so take a step back. I actually asked a lot of our business intelligence and a lot of our data analysts if they could bring up and give me the data of what performs better, either this right side rail ad or the floating video. I would assume for longer ones, maybe the video would work better. But I don't have a full conclusion on that yet, and I only want to give you an update based off the data at hand. But for right now, I would probably say let's remove the video ad, the floating video, so that way you're just not running into any Google policy or Google violations. So I'm just going to turn that off really quick because I don't want you to run into any troubles with that. Cool. Ezoic ads, let's go ad types. Floating video. I'm just going to turn this off for now. Kyle, you can reach out to me, or I'll even reach out to you after this. So if I do get that data of what performs better, maybe I'll say, okay, let's re-enable the floating video and disable the right sidebar or side rail ad. We'll do that. But for now, I think this is going to be what performs best for your types of pages, is having this side rail ad here. But this is a really good example of why this works well. Let's go to the Chrome extension and see what your actual placeholder setup looks like. I don't mind this ad here, but it's kind of up to you if you'd like to keep it or not. But again, let's just see what it looks like. So this under page title one you added is going to be the one that's filling in here. Again, I wouldn't suggest it maybe necessarily, but I'd maybe add one to the top of this right here. So you could say, it's kind of a different page, but we can do under page title, even though that's not exactly where it is for this one because this is kind of a unique page here. But now that you have under page title and under page title here, again, two ads won't show both here and here. It'll test either this spot and or this spot, and whatever the data points to in terms of higher performing in revenue and higher user and better user experience, it'll continue to test that. So that's another really good way of leveraging your data. And we don't really want to add too many more because you don't have a ton of content here. This is under first paragraph. That's totally fine. So this is a rather decent setup. I would just say because the way your pages are actually built out, they're a little shorter and the engagement doesn't last as long. That's probably why your EPMB is lower. But if you did just enable those placeholders, then I would expect your revenue to jump up a ton, your EPMB to also jump up a ton. Oh, there are also longer content pages for more popular names as well. Okay, let me do that. I love Japanese music. Says this conversation sounds incredibly complicated. Um, I'm going to agree with you, and sometimes it does sound really complicated, but I think I can also do a much better job of breaking this down into more of layman's terms without saying, placeholders and all these random terms. So I love Japanese music. If there is um, something that was confusing, or you want me to kind of, just describe a little bit better in other ways, please let me know and I'll do that. Let me try to find one of your pages that are a bit longer. I know I'm not sharing my screen right now. I'm just going to see if I can find one really quick. This one says boy name, so maybe this is a longer list of multiple names. Okay, so this is um so Emmanuel, how do I reach you to look at my ad placeholders for my site? What you can just do is just send me an email, and I'll take a look for you. And I'll probably end up sending you towards the community, which is where you can kind of reach us whenever you want. But go ahead and just send me a quick email, and I can and kind of do that for you. Um, Sorry, something. I have like an emergency alarm that goes off only if I need it, and it did, but false alarm, thank God. Anex says, hi all, hello, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Towards the tail end of it, but that's okay. Let me share my screen really quick because I wanted to go, actually I'll leave this up for now. Let me share my screen and let's take a look at this longer page. So if you just enable those side rails ads in the bottom of the page, like this is a perfect example of that performing very, very well. Because even if I load 100 more names or more names, I can go through and these will always be in the viewability of the page, which is really, really good. Again, of course, I can do load 100 more, and I can continue to go, and these placeholders will still stay on the page. But again, Emmanuel asked, how do I view the placeholders on my page? So when you're on your page and you have the Ezoic Chrome extension here at the top, you can simply click on this and then do activate. It already activated for me because I already had it open for the site. But that's when you'll actually see the actual advertisements themselves be then um, sorry, what was I saying? The actual advertisements themselves will then be showing as colored boxes, which are your placeholders. That's how you can view basically the ads on your page. Let me try to figure out what I can add, what I can attach this under page title placeholder to make it show up for all pages. Because as you guys saw on the other page, I attached another one of these placeholders right below. But let's say this H1 isn't showing on every single page, then it probably won't show for other pages as well. But let me see if this works under page title. Again, now our AI will test both this location and this location, and whatever performs better, it'll show an ad in that spot. Let's see maybe if I can just find another page. Okay, see how I added it to this H1, and since this H1 also exists on this page as it does the other one, this placeholder is going to carry over to this page one. It's gonna exist here. So that basically solves that. And then again, if I deactivate, I'm hoping to see top of the page, side rail, bottom of the page. So top of the page, side rail, bottom of the page. Beautiful. And I don't know if it would be best to actually add placeholders between these lists because it might look funky and it might not just be the best user experience. So again, that's something you can kind of temper with and see how that goes from there. But I'm hoping that you just enabled maybe those side rail ads in the bottom of the page or something, and you should see your EPMV increase a good bit for sure. So yeah, so we talked about when we were looking at LCP earlier, you're given the option through Leap to actually disable your ads above the fold. Of course, that'll help with site speed. But as you can see here, I removed ad placements above the fold to improve my site speed, and it cut my earnings in half. Oops, I don't think it's worth it. And that's totally understandable, and that's totally valid, Annex. Um, Again, this is just something, it's just another tool that Ezoic's built out to give you guys the full customizability that you would want. So if you do want ads to be not displaying above the fold, sure, that's totally fine with us. If it's okay with you, we'll just give you all the tools to, to basically appease to your business. So yeah, again, if revenue is your least important factor in your domain, then sure, disable ads above the fold, improve your site speed a bit. Maybe it'll improve user experience as well. But this is just something to consider. If you do want to be focused on revenue, then maybe disabling ads above the fold is not your best move forward. And I think you will get a warning when you kind of enable that. Are the side rail ads responsive or they have fixed dimensions? So great question, Matthews. And I think as of right now, they are fixed dimensions. Because I've only seen them in that size. I forget what it is, 90 by, or yeah, I forget what it is. But I think those are fixed as of now to be those sizes. And I think, AdSense is doing the same thing. I think it's something that we'll stay on top of and test other sizes if possible. But I think, we also use the data that shows, for the sidebar floating, that size usually performs the best for longer pages when it can scroll. So that is kind of the basis of what that decision was made of, but also just to kind of appease with Google for the time being. Kyle Evans says, thanks, Charlie. Your time is much appreciated. Of course, my time, if it's valuable for you, then sure, it's valuable for me as well, because, quite literally my goal here is to just do everything in my power to let you guys do better, whether that's, earn less and have better speed. Sure, I'll help you try to do that. If it's earn more, I can do that for sure, of course, as well. And if it's earn more and be faster, I can do that as well. I'd be more than happy to just do whatever I can for you guys. Oh yeah, of course. And again, I'll be happy to, elaborate on other things in kind of more layman terms, or we can even go through some of the terminology now, and I can help explain some of that. But yeah, again, there's a ton of articles and knowledge base out there that will kind of get you off the ground running. But then again, I'd be happy to explain some of it right now for you if you'd like. Yeah, I can check your site right now for you, Joanne. But I love Japanese music. Please, if you have questions, you want me to just cover something so you can learn, another cool thing or two today, then yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Joanne, let me check out your site right now. Joanne's been with the Access Now program for a bit, and she comes back to our live streams every now and then. So it's a familiar face that I love to see. And she was asking about the side rails. I'm just going to first check right now to see if they're enabled, and then go from there. But if you guys are enabling them on your end, definitely good to go through and just to make sure that there's no issues with them loading through. Because as you guys saw in the other example, when you have the floating video and the side rail, sometimes they overlap, which again will create issues and usually policy violations with Google. And we just want to avoid those at all costs. So Joanne, your side rails are currently turned off. So let me see if you have floating video. You have floating video enabled. So maybe the best first step right now, Joanne, will be first side rail left to enable, and then go from there. Again, if you want to see these, oh, I love this site. I forgot. I haven't been to this site in a while, Joanne. But I love this site. Yeah, like taking a look on my wider screen, especially since you don't have a sidebar, Joanne, or at least for this article, I would actually say Oh yeah, that floating video ad is pretty big. So I will say, let's do the left side rail ad for now, and then do that. And then, if a week goes by and you want to maybe test your revenue and earnings and you want to disable that floating video and enable the right side rail ad, you can kind of do your own little analysis and test there. I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, I love this site. Sorry, I was getting distracted. This site's super cool. I won't share it because she hasn't told me to. Oh, Gaz is here. Hey, Charlie. Long time no see. Sorry I've been around. I haven't been around. I've been working hard. GB. Yeah, Gaz is a fellow publisher that's been in here a lot with Joanne. Gaz, welcome back. Hopefully all has been well with you. Working hard is not a bad thing. I love to hear it. I'm working hard as myself. But yeah, Joanne, let's run a test. And I'm really excited to see what the data team has kind of pulled together because I asked, well, actually, one of my best friends, Terrence, he was like a higher level PSM, and now is actually doing a lot of the business intelligence. Actually, you know what? He actually mentioned coming in here to do a live stream with me, so maybe I can sit down with him in one of these chairs, and we can kind of chat back and forth. And he is so smart. He's one of the smartest people I know, to be completely honest. He's a statistics wizard. Quite literally, that's how he landed himself in the business intelligence section of the company. But he's actually going to run the test for me and pull some of the data. So I'll be happy to report that to you guys when I do get it from him. And I can say, hey, he shows that the right side rail ad performs way better in terms of user experience and revenue. I'll be the first to tell you guys, and I'll probably go through some of your guys' sites and change that for you and let you know. But Annex is asking a really good question. Can the Ezoic AI decide between side rail ads or floating video, or is that in the future plans maybe? So this is actually something that I flagged with our ad tester team because I noticed that some of our right side rail ads and the floating video were overlapping, which was just a major issue, and we didn't want anyone to get any violations. So I kind of created a lot of work for myself that day to go through and check and go through a lot of the sites. But I think this is kind of like the ultimate, leverage that we should figure out and provide to you guys, because if we find that the floating video does perform better for certain pages for certain users, then that's for sure something that we want to test and actually deliver, because that's quite literally how our ad testers worked, and that's quite literally how the logic is built. So Annex, I think this is just the next best question to ask, and quite literally is exactly what I'd probably ask myself here working at Ezoic is, first off, if we don't have this ability right now, which performs better? And if not, if we do have some of that data, let's figure out how to optimize it for every individual user. So Annex, great idea here. Yeah, it says my site is doing really well. Ezoic Big Data is showing me a lot of love. I must be doing something right. I guarantee you are, because you always have come through. You always have, good insight. And if you are working on creating content and just writing more content, you're putting yourself in the best position to succeed. So, I must be doing something right. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely are doing something right, guys. And I have full faith in you to continue doing that and to continue to grow. But hopefully, the sky is your limit, and that success does continue to follow. Max, I don't have a Facebook account to explain further, but what you can just do is you can go to the community and ask that question there. I'll be happy to give you that URL again, Max. But please just go through there and explain your situation. And there, doing it through Facebook or through email is not always the best way to troubleshoot issues. It's a good way of communicating between us if we need to work through something quickly. But actually going to the community is the best way forward, because let's say I'm sound asleep in the middle of the night and you have something urgent or something you want to work on, you can just reach out in the community and someone from our UK team will help. Ooh, excuse me. Or if it is during Pacific Standard Time when I normally would be working, but let's say I was sick, or if I was out of office, or if I was working on a project, you can also reach out to the community, because we'll always have someone monitoring. So you always have someone to talk to. You always have someone to explain your situation to, and we can always help and make adjustments and reach out to our tech team if needed. Annex is exactly right. You worked hard, so you deserve it. That's absolutely true. And that's some of the success that you guys are, a lot of you guys have already seen and started to see, and it's really rewarding as well. One question: the page view numbers differ quite significantly between Ezoic and Google Search Console. Which one of these is most accurate, Charlie? So they actually should be pretty close to each other. One thing that I notice is a lot of the times people will they'll actually compare and contrast sessions when looking at Google Search Console and then compare those to either page views. But sessions is actually more correlated to visits. And when you're looking at Ezoic analytics compared to your Google Search Console, you want to make sure that you're actually analyzing just your Google traffic in terms of traffic source to the Google Search Console. Because if you are viewing all of the visitor data, maybe you have some from Bing, maybe you have some from Android search, or maybe you have some from direct traffic. But that could actually explain some of the variance you're seeing between. So you want to make sure you're looking at the Google traffic and Ezoic to the Google Search Console traffic, because that's going to be the correlation, or that's going to be the connection there. So if Ezoic is showing only half of the views compared to your Google Search Console, again, I want to make sure you look at your Google traffic in terms of traffic source. Annex, let's go. I ordered a Tesla using my website earnings. I'm so happy. I drop by in these live sessions sometimes to learn more and keep improving. Annex, we all strive to be like you. But I'm so happy because this is quite literally such a reality that exists in this program. Is we just want you guys to succeed. You can, pick up more domains and you can write more content and you can go from the ground zero to level 4, level 5, level 3 and order yourself a Tesla. Because this is a reality that does exist. And Annex, I'm pretty sure I remember exactly what your site is. And I was actually talking to your sales lead recently. But I love to hear that you're checking back in with us, Annex, because we love to hear you. You always offered good advice. A lot of publishers picked up on your advice, and that's really, really good. But guys, so what I want to say is actually reach out to us in the community or just to my email, because I think figuring out the variance between your analytics is something that I want to go through. And Annex, I know you joined kind of late. So one of the things and one of the changes that I'm not sure if you're fully aware of yet is we actually introduced, well, I'm sure you know because you're great at this stuff, but we introduced side rail ads, which will basically exist outside of your div content. So if you have your main content and even your sidebar here, if a user was using a really, really wide screen, like maybe one of my projectors that's really, really wide, you can actually add side rail ads outside of those as well. So that's something that AdSense introduced a couple weeks ago, and we were quick to follow, as it is something that we could comply with in policy and also have you guys earn more money. So Annex, if you have not done that for your site yet, or if you haven't enabled that yet, I would definitely say, you can reach out to me after, or you can reach out to your sales lead, Michael. Yeah, exactly. So of course, Annex is on top of it, which is why he's seeing such good success. But yes, I immediately enabled side rails on all my sites when I see it pop up on the Trailblazer thingy. Yeah, actually, that's a good introduction. So if you guys are really just curious about the directions and the changes and the updates that Ezoic makes, join our Trailblazer program, and it'll basically give you the insight to all of that. I also kind of want to supply some of the updates and changes here in the live streams because it's just another way to give out that information. But if you want to be like Annex and do that, then that's definitely a good way to do it. And just a question for you, Annex, did you see a pretty good jump in revenue when you did enable the side rail ads? I'm sure you made a bunch of other changes, and there's a ton of other factors and variables that can come in here. Okay, so sorry, I was reading Gaz's comment. I got a little scared. Should we use both left and right, or one plus, or one or the other plus the floating video? I thought I was gonna sneeze for a second, but I'm good. So again, I'm actually working with a lot of the data team and a lot of the ad tester team to figure out what the best combination of what the data points to in terms of what performs better in both revenue and user experience. So that's something that I'm going to kind of figure out for you. Um, but maybe Annex can speak to experience and say, hey, I had the floating video and then I tried both the right and left side rail ad, and maybe he's done that experiment. Um, okay, so yeah, this is actually a great point. So Annex is saying, at the end of December or at the beginning of January, they enabled the side rail ads. And if you guys are kind of familiar with our ad revenue index, is that at the end of January, our ad revenue index dips off a lot. That's very normal. And basically, what Annex is saying is that we actually we saw a dip in earnings, but maybe not as significant as of a dip because normally it can be around 15 to 20 to 40% sometimes. Like the dip can be pretty severe. So if you're minimizing that dip, that means you're actually doing a really, really good job because when the ad rates pick up, then you'll see the leverage on the top end of things and see it go really high. So that's a really good job, Annex. And I'm happy that that effect was kind of minimal on you guys. If you guys have not seen the ad revenue index, and I can kind of explain it, I can pull it up for you guys and show you. I'll send you guys the link really quick. But let me share my screen as well. But I'm happy that did minimize that dip to your Annex. That makes me super, super happy. So this is the ad revenue index. So we can basically, let's look at it from the beginning of 2021 because there's kind of some interesting trends. This is how the normal year would look. Lower in Q1, see we're in January, and then kind of rises throughout the year. And then we see these crazy ad rates through Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then this is the dip that he was talking about at the end of the year. You'll basically see it go from 30, 31, and that's when you see that pretty big dip. So down to 43 from basically 60. And that's also the dip that you'll see here. So at the end of December, they really drop, and then they dropped a lot. As you can tell, the economy did not bounce up the same way it did the year prior. This ad revenue index is a pretty good representation of what the current economy is. But one really, really odd thing that we saw last year was basically these insanely stagnant ad rates. So it's let's call it 50 to 55 to 60 throughout the whole year to even on the low end like 40 down here. But this is just a really odd line right here because if we look at the previous, this is what 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. You'll see influx dip, influx dip, influx dip, influx dip. You guys get the point. Dip, influx, dip. And then within the past year, it was just really stagnant and steady, which is just kind of odd. But yeah, that's something that's kind of what Annex was saying. So, they said, I enabled them here, and my revenue didn't increase that much because by the time this came around, the ad rates were a lot lower. So they were kind of minimizing the effect of the ad rates by, enabling those side rail ads. I agree. Yeah, wish the normal trend continued, but the economy is going crazy, and that's just the reality that we live in. But that's also one of the cool things of being a website publisher is you actually will, determine more of your success based off your efforts, not off just purely third-party factors. You can work on creating new content. You can write 5 articles in a day. You could work on video content, so you can set yourself up for success and kind of counter what the economy is doing. Of course, the economy would help with higher ad rates, but that's just kind of the reality of the situation. So that's how I'm circle back into this question. Well, I didn't see an improvement, but that is because we went into January where there's usually a big drop, but I didn't see a huge drop this time thanks to the side rail ads, I think, which is probably a fair assumption. Action Vibe, this is a poll question, so I'm going to read it out loud so you guys, feel free to chime in. This is just a poll question, but would you guys recommend setting more websites and slowly building them up to a medium size, or would you just focus on having one main channel and focus on growing it? So of course, I'm going to let other people answer this, but I think I've heard Tyler and a few other people at the company and outside of the company answer this question, and they basically all revert back to, let's say you were to go to like a major investment firm, and you're saying, hey, look, I have $100,000 I want to invest into the stock market. One approach is, okay, you have one asset that you really, really believe in. Let's put $100,000 of investment into one company. Or you can say, look, I have two that I really want to do, and I want, put 50 grand in one and 50 grand in another. That way you're not minimizing risk, but you're setting less of a risk, because if you were to set 100% of your investment of 100K into one company and it were to fail, then you would be off in a terrible situation. But if it were to do very, very well, then you'd be in a very, very good situation. So then you can break it down to, 10 investments of $10,000 per investment. You might have 4, 5, or 6 do really well and maybe 1 or 2 really bad, but you're kind of minimizing risk by spreading out your investment and your time. So you can kind of think of that equation similar to how you would invest $100,000, right? You can have one website and you can do really, really well and focus on it and work really, really hard, but maybe a Google algorithm update comes out that is totally just, doesn't work in your favor. I'll leave it at that. Then, you could see a massive hit, and let's say you're doing $10,000 a day, totally just out random. Google algorithm update hits you bad, tanks your rankings, and then you're kind of seeing revenue way, way lower. Or you could spread it across 5 or 6 different websites. And what I'm trying to get at here is basically it's just a risk analysis you'd kind of want to take. Is this your income? Is this your sole salary that you rely on for rent and food? If so, I'd probably go with the lower risk. If you have a full-time job and a salary and this is more of a side gig and you want to really just work on growing your site from small to be really big, of course you can do that. But yeah, that's kind of just how I'd ask. I hope you solve low value content, because I know, Charlie, that you accepted sites without reviewing them for Google Ad Manager, and I know that. We actually have 0 sites on Ezoic earning money and revenue that have not been accepted and approved by Ad Manager. And I will say that, no fingers crossed, not lying. Every single site that is showing ads through Ezoic and is monetized through Ezoic showing ads is approved by Google Ad Manager, and that's a 100% requirement. I promise that. So here's Annex's response. I've started a new age domain project. How many visitors and/or articles should I have before I add the new site to my account, you think, Charlie? Well, you can actually add it whenever you want. You can, if it's a new site and you don't really want to pay for hosting, sign it up through Ezoic hosting for free. That minimize some of your costs. That way you can also use our CDN. You can use Leap as a tool set there. Since you do have a bunch of other domains that are monetized and earning, we could basically allow you to use these features for free without showing ads. So yeah, kind of whatever you want. I would say maybe around, if you were thinking about the monetization aspect of things, maybe around 20 to 25 articles. Some publishers do it at 10 to 15, and they have a couple that do really well, either through social traffic or through like one that's ranking really well. But I would say maybe around the 25 to 30 range. But then again, if it's new and you just want to work on creating content and you want to use our hosting and Leap for free, go ahead, add the domain and just start from there. And you don't have to add ads to it right away. You can just kind of do that. But here's Annex's advice to your question, Ashen, and obviously Annex comes with a lot of credibility to this answer, a lot more credibility than I do, to be honest. I would definitely focus on one first, because I made the mistake to do 3 and it took way longer to see results because I spread my time so much. So this is kind of like, if you have one side project, focus on that one until it grows big. But then, if you were thinking about quitting your day job off, one domain, maybe you think about expanding it to maybe a couple of other projects as well. Gaz says, Charlie, I've achieved nearly 5,000 page views in 2 weeks. If I can achieve $10,000 a month and unlock level 2, can I get Ezoic to review my site to maximize revenue, but not make it look so spammy? I would say before you hit the 5, I'd say if you wanted me to do that by the end of the day, I could do that for you. You don't have to wait to get to level 2. Guys, I'd be happy to do it. You're in here all the time. You're helping out other publishers. You create a good community. You're always positive. Even if you weren't positive like that, I would still do it. But yeah, there's no reason why you'd have to wait to actually do that. just reach out to us today, and I'll be more than happy to go through and actually do that for you. There's no reason you have to wait. I'll do whatever I can for you guys. Um, but yeah, I would say, this actually, so Ezoic Access Now is actually be taking quite a big different approach. Obviously, the main area of feedback for publishers that have come through the Access Now program is, it's hard to set up and it's a lot to do. So we're actually have been working for the past 4 months or so to basically fully or am I trying to say fully automate that process for you guys. So now when you guys sign up or your friends want to sign up in the future, we're actually going to do everything ourselves. So they're still going to have to integrate. They're going to integrate and apply for Google Ad Manager because those are the two things we actually have no control over. But once we do that, if they want us to set up Leap, we're going to do that. And we're actually going to set up their entire ad setup for them automatically. So if you have friends or if you have others that are saying, you know what, I wanted to give Ezoic a try. I wanted to give Access Now a try, but it was just too much and I couldn't handle it, which is totally understandable. We're actually doing this all ourselves now. So now is their chance to say, look, I'm going to integrate, do everything yourself. We actually haven't done that yet. So like, if you're having your friends do that today and they're like, wait a second, I don't see that. That's not set up fully yet, but it will be soon. I don't have an exact time frame, but maybe by the end of February. Part of it is just we want to continue to develop some of these tools that we're going to have to use. One of the main ones is going to be like our ad placement service. I've actually been working with our developers one-on-one, basically creating the system that's going to be hopefully flawless. I'll be completely honest and transparent. I'll say we probably around like a 75 to 80% success rate right off the beginning of just a really good ad setup. Some of the things we're struggling with, again, this is me I want to be transparent and honest with you. Some of the things we're working on now is finding out and dialing in the perfect sidebar. So that's something that's been a little bit more difficult. Of course, not every page is going to be built out the same. So, flagging some of the sites that, don't work as well, whether using Elementor or other things, that's something we're also working on. But yeah, I agree with you. Annex says, wow, fantastic. I wish I had that service. Maybe I'll use it on my new site. And exactly, it's like it's something that we wish we had years ago because it would have set up, it would have helped you guys all out. But, better late than never. We just didn't quite have the bandwidth and the tools built out yet to do that. So that's something that we're looking to do. Max said his Humix is doing amazing. That's awesome. That's another huge avenue for you guys, especially in the Access Now program, to earn a lot more money because the sky's your limit if you have really good videos. I keep feeling like I'm going to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. So Joanne says, should I change my hosting from Bluehost to Leap? So Leap is actually just our site speed tool. Our Ezoic hosting is our hosting service. I think some of the major reasons why we're differentiating the different products by their names specifically, like we have Ezoic Ads, we now have Leap as a product, we have Humix and Flickify, is because people are often saying, Ezoic is just an ad network, but quite literally we're just a tool for you, like for your publishers to use, whether it be for ads or site speed or analytics. So Leap is our site speed product, and we do have our hosting as well. But the question is really up to you. Our hosting is free right now if you are monetizing through Ezoic. So one thing you want to consider if you're not really tech savvy, and you kind of want to rely on the service for hosting, and they can help kind of troubleshoot, do those things for you. Sure. If you're tech savvy and you're kind of good at staying on top of things and you're really self-sufficient, moving to our Ezoic hosting is a great option because it is free. But then again, it is like a self-service type system right now while we're still building out that team and building out the entire service. But yeah, so of course you can move away from Bluehost. If you're like, hey, I'm paying more for Bluehost than I am earning in a month, and I'm okay with kind of figuring out how to use the hosting, and basically accessing my site files myself, then sure, that's definitely a good way to go. Why am I getting all stuffy right now? Thanks, Charlie. Of course, I forget what I said, but of course. Joanne says, you're the best, Charlie. Incorrect. You guys are the best, but I appreciate it. Gas says, thanks, Charlie. You're awesome. Thank you, guys, but you're actually awesome. but yeah, I wish I had that service. Maybe I'll use it on my new site. Yeah. Annex, how about, maybe keep working on writing content, and then right as we actually push out this new service, what I'll do is I'll send you an email, because I remember your domain and I remember your account. I'll send you a quick email and say, hey, look, we actually released it to the public, or maybe you can even say just before we release it to the public, I can allow you to try this for your new site, and you could say, hey, Charlie, this was great, this sucked. And that way we can just make those changes, because we'd rather have the honest feedback right away. Of course, we're going to do our own trials, and we're going to run a bunch of tests ourselves to make sure everything works. But sometimes it takes something really obvious just be pointed out and say, hey, this did not work well, and then we can actually work backwards and make those changes. So, Annick, I'll be happy to share that for you when we do have it available. Or maybe if we have a way of like test piloting this with some publishers, I'll be happy to share it with you as well. And you can just say, this rocked and this sucked, and we can make those changes. Um, if you can please give some feedback. This is another reason why these live streams are great. You can give feedback like this. Some of the Ezoic ad placement on mobile causes ads to overlap the design, which flags a red warning on Google Search Console for mobile usability. So this is absolutely something I can look into. I can also work with Mike and say, hey, let's figure out which placeholders were causing this issue and why we didn't flag this before, and how can we avoid this in the future. Um, Sorry, I'm just writing this down so I don't forget. Mobile, what was it? Mobile usability. Okay, so yeah, let's figure that out. If I reach out to you in email while I look at some of that, I'll figure that out, and maybe I can get some more insights to what that actually is. Max, if you what is the issue with your Humix? Because I'd be happy to take a look. I'll check the stats at the end of the month and email you. Just want to see if traffic is consistent. That's a great way to do, because you want to have some consistency between your experiments. You want to have a control, as much control as you possibly can, because then you can point to a stronger significance between the results. Are Humix placements helping Google rankings? So some of the Humix pages are getting indexed. I haven't seen issues where this is actually hurting, or really helping. I'm not 100% sure, but I can try to get a better answer for you. Um, oh, sorry. Is my audio okay now? Maybe I was kicking something. Hold on. Is it okay now? Uh oh. Um, let me see. Let me see if I can change my microphone for you right now. Uh oh. Oh no, you can't hear me. What the heck? How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Uh-oh. The microphone cord was a little bit misconfigured, so I did just plug it back. I just literally unplugged it and plugged it back in. Hopefully that helps. Thumbs up, thumbs down, no changes. No, no. Any better? No. Can I mute myself? Hopefully there's no buzzing noise. Any better? Is it any better now? All I did was change the microphone. Hopefully that's a little better. Oh, thank gosh. Whew. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. Thankfully that happened towards the end because that's really annoying. Hopefully no one had earphones in and I didn't sound like screeching and screaming. But I do apologize about that. Sorry, I was just going back up. Been using Name Hero as hosting for the past 2 years and been thinking of changing hosting. Anyone else have experience with NH so far? So I guess I can leave that up to you guys to answer a little bit more. But if any of you guys are using Name Hero and you have some advice, or if you want to say share an experience in the comment section, feel free to do that, and I can kind of read it out loud so they know. But I'm happy I did. Hopefully I didn't break anyone's ears. I feel really bad about that. I feel like I might have just kicked a cord or something. But Max says, "Where's Ethan, Charlie?" Ethan is also part of our UK team. So Ethan and Imogen and Harry. Harry's the third person on our UK team. They all work in UK hours. So hopefully now they're hanging out with their friends or making dinner or just relaxing. It's probably cold and wet and dark there now, but hopefully it's not. But yeah, Ethan's also on the UK team, so we won't have him during PST hours. All right, well, I think that's just about going to wrap it up for me today. I want to say thank you guys, like some of you guys, for returning. I met some great new faces like Kyle and a bunch of others. Harib was new. It was great to see some new faces. It's great to see some old faces. Annex, Max, Joanne, Gaz, Mike. It's really great to see you guys all. I love having these. Ashen, it was great to hear from you. I don't think we've met before. I kind of want to give it a second. Oh yeah, of course. I'm happy you guys find these streams beneficial. Again, sorry, I was just reading some of these. Mike says, in your experience, what is the good average post and length of posts? So I would say good average or good amount of posts is probably the more the merrier. And I think you guys could probably attest to that as well. Content is king. More content, the better for sure. And then maybe the average length, I think that can vary depending on the type of content. But sometimes, we have a couple articles about the average length and the correlation with EPMB. And I think the statistics show around 1,000 and then also anywhere from like 1,500 to 2,000. But it's all about writing high quality content that your users engage with. That's always what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. So if your article is 4,000 words, but if there's a ton of fluff and it doesn't really answer the question that the reader is looking for, they'll probably end up bouncing and going to another source to find. But that's kind of another way to do it. Ashton says, Charlie, to be honest, this is the only stream I've watched from start to finish that was filled with great information. That makes me happy because I will do more and more and more. And I really want to target basically everyone that comes through the Access Now program so they can see that A, we're real people, and B, I'd be happy to give you all the information I have, full transparency and honesty. Okay, so Max, yeah, if I'd be happy to help you figure out a new account if that's the way to do it, Max. But again, just reach out to us in support, and I'll be happy to do it. You also have my email, so you can reach out there. But no, I really want to say thank you guys so much for joining. These are for sure my favorite parts of the week. Hopefully, there's a lot of good information for you guys to kind of take out of this. Thanks for answering each other's questions. Thanks for creating a good sense of community between each other. That's probably my favorite thing of it all. I like when you guys say, hey, this is my experience, or this is what I've done to do better, because not only is that a learning point for me, but it's a learning point for you all. So I really just wanted to say thank you guys again. I hope you have a great rest of your week. There's a chance I run another one of these on Friday morning. So maybe look out for that. I'll send you guys all an email if possible. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay creating content. Make sure you guys give yourself a break from creating content so you have time to, sit down and rest and stay happy. But yeah, always, please, if you guys really need anything at all, absolutely anything, please just reach out to me via email, and I will do literally anything in my power to help you out. Literally, absolutely anything. I'll add my email one more time at the bottom. But again, I'll do anything in my power to help you guys out. I really appreciate it. I truly love you guys all. You're the best. And have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.